Hello, I'm Michael.
I'm Sally, and this is Wrestle MSX.
So here we are, Bash in Berlin, and opening up this PLE is Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes. The bell rang, Rhodes was ready, but Owens just sat on the top rope looking solemn. Owens eventually got down, the crowd went wild, the competitors shook hands, and the match got underway. Lots of collar and elbow tie-ups to start with, along with holds and just generally feeling each other out. A missed Cody kick allowed Owens to hit a senton before both men went for their finishers, but neither were hit. The action then spilled to the outside with Owens hitting a cannonball on Rhodes. More wrestling broke out with chops and kicks before Cody locked in a figure four, Owens eventually breaking the hold by grabbing the rope. Even more wrestling between the two continued the match before both men clotheslined one another. Cody up first took advantage, hitting a disaster kick for a 2 count. A released German suplex and super kick looked to be setting up Owens to finish it, but Cody got a Cody cutter in for yet another 2 count. A slugfest then ensued, with Owens getting in a knee to the back of the neck for a 2 count. Owens looked out of it, but managed to climb to the top rope, where Cody joined him. Owens managed to get Cody onto his shoulders and hit a rolling senton from the top rope. Owens went for the cover, but still only managed a 2. Owens then goes for a stunner, but Rhodes turns it into a crossroads and gets a 2 count. Rhodes then places Owens on the top rope, but Owens musters just enough strength to hit a fisherman brainbuster, leaving both men down in the middle of the ring. Owens crawls over to Rhodes for the cover, but Rhodes kicks out of it at 2. Again. Both men now out on their feet, hitting, headbutting and slapping one another, even trading super kicks. Rhodes' knee then gives way as he goes up for the ropes. Owens sees this but can't bring himself to attack it. Owens though in the end kicks the knee when both men are outside the ring and goes to powerbomb Rhodes onto the ring apron, but crucially he doesn't, or rather he can't bring himself to do it. Owens instead rolls Rhodes back into the ring and then hits him with a stunner, only for Rhodes to once again kick out at 2. Rhodes from nowhere gets in 2 crossroads, even trying for a third, but Owens reverses it into a stunner and gets a cover for 2. Owens tries one more move, a swanton from the top rope, but as he comes down, Rhodes gets his knees up, hitting Owens squarely in the back. Cody seizes the opportunity, hits one more crossroads and gets the resulting win. Cody retains.
Next up, the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. The Unholy Union versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. All 4 women start the match until Cargill and Dawn leave the ring. A tug of war breaks out with Belair's hair, Fire winning and using the momentum to throw Belair into the ring post and bounce into the outside. Dawn then tags in and continues punishment on Belair. The champs keep Belair in their corner with quick hits and quick tags, even getting in a 2 count cover after a Meteora by Dawn and a cover by Fire. Their wrestling strategy was excellent. A tornado DDT by Fire subsequently knocks Cargill off the apron and plants Belair into the mat, but only for a 2 count. After what seemed like an absolute age, Cargill was tagged in and wreaked havoc. Cargill tagged Belair back in after dealing damage to both members of Unholy Union, but succumbed to a double team only to be saved by Cargill on 2. A double team by Cargill and Belair then got them a 2 count on Fire. Fire then missed a top rope move, hitting Dawn instead. This allowed Belair and Cargill to hit their DDT German suplex finisher, with Cargill pinning Dawn for her and Belair to become the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions.
And I'm glad they have become, to be honest with you.
Me too.
Because I think they're way better
Definitely.
than any other female tag team right now. Just give them the bell, let them run with it. No messing about. Next up, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre in a strap match. Drew was not playing about and attacked Punk while he was on the apron and then dropped him on the commentator's table. McIntyre then rolled Punk back into the ring and whipped him with the strap. The strap is then finally applied to both men's wrists via McIntyre, who then asks for the bell to be rung so the match can officially start. After beating Punk like a dog, Drew touches the first corner, illuminating the light. McIntyre continues his onslaught on Punk, only for Punk to duck and hit a GTS on Drew. Punk teased going to a corner, but instead whipped Drew Mac with the strap instead. McIntyre turns the tables again and goes for a future shot DDT on Punk on the announcer's table, but Punk reverses it into a back body drop onto the table instead. Drew then hits Punk with a chair as the pair continue to brawl on the outside. When we get back in the ring, we see Punk has been busted open. Punk manages to set up a table on the outside before McIntyre pulls him back into the ring and hitting him with a claymore. Drew gets to 3 corners, but as he heads to the 4th for the win, Punk rolls out the ring, pulling the strap and Drew with him. Drew crashing into a chair he'd set up earlier between the ropes at the ring post. Punk begins his corner challenge, getting to 3, before Drew stops him and drops him over the top rope onto the table Punk had himself set up earlier. Drew then dragged Punk back into the ring, hoisted him up onto his shoulders and carried him around while hitting each corner. But as he did so, unbeknown to McIntyre, Punk was also touching each corner too. As McIntyre headed for the last corner, Punk slipped off Drew's shoulders and went for it himself. Drew stopped him, but now both men had just 1 corner to go. Both men gave up reaching for the corner and started beating each other again, thus resetting the lights and having to start again. Both men then ended up big booting each other, with both taking a breather on the mat. Punk then locked in a sharpshooter, with McIntyre tapping out until he passed out. Punk made the journey to the corners once again, but only reaching 2 before Drew hit him with a neckbreaker. Drew kipped up and then produced the fabled Punk bracelet from his ring gear. He placed it on his wrist, hit Punk with a claymore and headed for the corners yet again. This time he got to 3 before Punk dragged him back via the strap and hit him with a GTS. As Punk heads to the corner, Drew reaches out and Punk notices the bracelet, so hits McIntyre with yet another GTS. Punk hits 2 corners, hits Drew with another GTS, hits the 3rd corner, hits 1 more GTS on McIntyre, takes his 2-bit bracelet back, and then finally hits the last corner and wins the strap match. I hope he was keeping count. If they're going to do that again, then maybe they need to sort the rules out. Because Wade Barrett and Michael Cole kept giving conflicting rules about what was happening. Now, they mentioned that if touching the corners gets interrupted, it resets them, the lights on the corners. So why, when Punk was touching them, after Drew had touched them with him on his back, did it not reset for Drew and turn his lights off? Because surely Drew's touching them, but then Punk is, so that's interrupting Drew's attempt at the corners. So why didn't his lights go off? Storyline, right there.
Time for the Terror Twins to take on Samson and Delilah. Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan and Dominik Mysterio. Well, Dom tries to play keep away from Priest, but to no avail, even no-selling Dom's attacks. Priest batters Dom and then goes to tag in Rhea, but Dom escapes his clutches and tags in Liv, which brings in Rhea anyway. Ripley ragdolls Morgan before Liv managed to get away and tag Dom back in. Priest again dominating Dom before Liv distracted Priest and Dom pushed Priest from the apron onto the announcer's table. Dom got Priest back into the ring for a 2-count cover, even getting a tornado DDT on him. As Dom was setting up for the Three Amigos, Priest reversed it into a broken arrow before tagging in Rhea once again. Ripley, well, I've never seen anyone get battered the way Ripley battered Morgan.
He absolutely destroyed her.
Even beating up Dom, who was still in the ring. Rhea buried Morgan some more before going for a riptide on Dom. Liv, though, saved him and hit a code breaker on Ripley, followed by a knee and a cover, but only for a 2-count. Ripley managed a kick on Morgan and brought herself enough time to make a tag to Priest. After Priest annihilated Dom, he went for the cover, but it was broken up onto by Liv. Ripley got in the ring and attacked Morgan before she, Rhea and Priest hit a double razor's edge on Morgan and Mysterio. Ripley tossed Liv out of the ring as Priest set up to deliver the South of Heaven on Dom. But then the Jackals appeared, McDonough and Carlito. JD was drop-kicked by Priest while Ripley on the outside dealt with Carlito. Morgan then from nowhere sunset flipped Rhea into the barricade from the ring steps while Finn Balor sling-bladed Priest. Dom followed this up with a frog splash and a pin. Priest kicked out. Dom tagged Morgan back in, who launched herself through the ropes onto a dazed Ripley. Morgan threw Rhea back into the ring and went for Oblivion. Rhea caught it and set up for what seemed like a powerbomb. McDonough distracted her though, Ripley falling for the bait. As Ripley heads over to JD, Morgan hits her with what seemed like an Oblivion, but she didn't quite get all of it. As the two women lay in the ring exhausted, Priest cleared the outside of the ring. Balor, JD, Carlito and Dom. Rhea finishes Morgan off with a riptide and covers her for the win. The Terror Twins win, which also means he retains the Predictions champion.
Yes, I do. It's like I wrote it myself. Final match of the night, Gunther defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Randy Orton. Samantha Irvin introduced Randy Orton and was about to introduce Gunther when Ludwig Kaiser interrupted and introduced him to the crowd instead. After the crowd had sang and Orton sarcastically applauded them, we got underway with a lock-up and both men feeling each other out. The crowd were that invested in the match that they started a Mexican wave, which I have never seen at a wrestling match. Orton even joining in. When we actually got some wrestling, Gunther was methodical and calculating as he dismantled Orton. Orton though caught a break, throwing Gunther into the ring steps and damaging his shoulder before back body dropping Gunther onto the announcer's table 3 times. Back in the ring, Gunther turned an RKO attempt into a sleeper, which Orton escaped and then went to work on Gunther's injured shoulder. The injured shoulder reduced Gunther's power and restricted his movements, Orton taking every advantage, even performing a superplex. The chops then began, with Gunther gaining the advantage, but this was soon stopped by a thumb to the eye by Orton, followed up by a signature draping DDT. Orton readied himself for the RKO. Gunther though turned the impending finisher into a suplex, followed by a drop kick and a splash from the top rope. The resulting cover got him a 2 count. Gunther then went for a powerbomb, but his arm gave out as he tried to lift Orton. Gunther though tried again 3 more times, the 3rd time being the charm, with the resulting cover only getting a 2 count. Gunther tries another powerbomb, but struggles to lift Orton again, having to put him down. This allows Orton to escape Gunther's clutches and hit an RKO. Gunther kicks out at 2. Orton decides to take drastic action by clearing the German announcer's table and then moving the ring steps in front of the table, not just one level of steps, but both stacked up. Orton rams Gunther's head into the ring steps before climbing up them and back body dropping Gunther through the announcer's table, breaking it in the process. Orton rolls Gunther back into the ring and coils himself ready for an RKO. As he springs into action, Gunther pushes him away and locks in the sleeper. Orton escapes it for a millisecond before it's locked back in. Gunther gets on Orton's back, so Orton falls back, Gunther releasing the hold as he hits the mat. Orton sits up, but as he does, the sleeper is locked in yet again. Seeing as it's not working quickly enough, Gunther delivers a few elbows to Orton's neck before locking in the sleeper 1 more time. This time it works, as Orton passes out and the referee calls for the bell. Gunther defeats Randy Orton and retains the World Heavyweight Championship. The 2 men shaking hands after the match. All in all, I thought it was a pretty good PLE.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I particularly like the strap match because it's something different. You
Yeah,
don't see it all the time.
Yeah.
I like it, and I like the mixed tag.
Yeah.
Because if you saw our predictions, I mean, if you haven't, I don't know why, go and watch them. They're funny. Well, these aren't as funny. I did say that Ripley and Priest, not that they'd win, but they'd destroy him.
Yes,
and
they should.
Oh my, and they
but
did.
I thought
It's,
the
yeah, but
interference would be too much.
But you can't always have interference. You've got to have, sometimes just got to be straight. The big guy is going to absolutely destroy the little guy, and they did.
Yeah.
And it entertained me, and that's what it's all about. That's
Yeah, I enjoyed the strap match as well. I also like the Orton Gunther match, but you know, Orton fan, so I'm going to like it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I retained my prediction title, so that's also a win. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.
And we'll see you on Tuesday for our look at Raw. The Judgment Day fallout should be very interesting.
Hopefully.